I uninvited my parents for my wedding after they demanded I include my estranged sister. Hi, Reddit. I've been debating whether or not to post this for a while, but after everything that's happened, I need to get off my chest. My fiancé says I'm not wrong, but my phone has been blowing up for weeks, and I just want a neutral opinion. So here goes. Throwaway. Because my family is probably stalking my main. I, 29F, am getting married in November to the most patient, emotionally intelligent, and grounded man I've ever met. Let's call him Liam, 31M. We've been together for almost 5 years, engaged for 1, and planning the wedding for about 6 months now. It's going to be a smallish event, around 70 people. Nothing over the top, but still personal, meaningful, and, importantly, drama-free. Or so I thought. My family, on the other hand, drama seems to follow them like a shadow. I come for what I describe as a performatively perfect family. The Christmas cards, the matching outfits, the curated social media posts. You know the type. My mom, 57F, was the captain of appearances. Everything had to look perfect, even if it wasn't. My dad, 60M, just went along with whatever she said. And then there's my sister, Claire, 32F. Claire and I used to be close when we were really young. But as soon as we hit our teenage years, everything changed. She became well entitled. That's the nicest way I can say it. Claire believed the world owed her everything just for existing. If I got a new phone, she would throw a tantrum because hers was 6 months older. If I got praise for doing well in school, she would find a way to undermine it or shift the attention back to herself. My parents, especially my mom, always gave in to her. They enabled her behavior over and over again. That's just Claire, they'd say. She's sensitive. She's going through a phase. Except the phase lasted until she was in her 20s, and then into her 30s. The breaking point for me happened 5 years ago. It's still hard to talk about, honestly. Claire had moved back in with my parents after quitting her 3rd job in 2 years. She said she was focusing on her art. That turned into staying rent-free in their guest room for almost 18 months, while occasionally posting poetry on Instagram and starting 5 different GoFundMes for mental health retreats. Meanwhile, I was busting my ass working 2 jobs to afford rent and student loans. My then boyfriend, now fiancé, Liam, had just moved in with me. One weekend we decided to visit my parents for dinner. Claire was there, too. That's when the real incident happened. During the evening, Claire got into this weird mood and started asking really invasive questions about our relationship. Stuff like, so who's better in bed? And, do you guys ever get bored of each other? In front of my parents. I laughed it off and tried to redirect the conversation. Liam was clearly uncomfortable. Then, and I'll never forget this, she said, you better hold on to him. Sis, guys like him don't go for girls like you twice. It was the most backhanded, bitchy thing I'd ever heard her say. Everyone at the table went silent, even my mom. I said something like, what the hell is wrong with you? And got up to leave. Liam followed. But instead of backing me up, my mom said I was overreacting. That Claire was just joking. That I needed to have thicker skin. That was it. I cut contact. Liam supported me 100%. I sent my parents a message a few days later saying I needed space. They never really acknowledged what happened. They kept trying to smooth things over, without ever actually holding Claire accountable. I haven't spoken to Claire since. That was 5 years ago. Fast forward to this year. Liam and I got engaged last October during a trip. It was perfect. Just the 2 of us under the northern lights. He proposed on a snow-covered trail, and I said yes with frozen fingers and tears in my eyes. When we got back, we had the whole tell the families round. My parents were thrilled, or at least pretended to be. My mom immediately started hinting that she'd love to be involved in the planning, but I politely told her that we were keeping things small and wanted to plan it ourselves. She seemed miffed but didn't push. We made our guest list together and decided on a simple rule. If someone hadn't been actively supportive in our lives in the last 5 years, they weren't coming. That meant no Claire, obviously. The invites went out a few months ago. I sent them directly. No family oversight needed. Everything was going smoothly. until 2 weeks ago. It started with a text from my mom. "Hey, sweetheart, just wondering if Claire's invite got lost in the mail? She hasn't received anything, and she's feeling really hurt." I stared at it for a full minute before replying. "Claire isn't invited. We haven't spoken in 6 years. Her response? "But she's your sister." "Yes, Mom. I'm aware." What followed was a week-long escalation. My mom first tried to guilt trip her out, telling me that family is everything, that weddings are about unity, and that I was being petty. When that didn't work, she switched to anger. She accused me of tearing the family apart, told me that I was embarrassing her, and finally said, "If your sister isn't welcome, then I don't know how your father and I could be part of this wedding either." My stomach dropped. It was clearly a bluff. I called her on it. "If that's how you feel, then I won't hold you to attending." Silence. Then an hour later, "I didn't mean it like that. We just want what's best for you." But by then, I was done playing games. Liam and I talked it over that night. He told me, again, that he would support whatever I decided, but he also gently pointed out that this pattern with my family wasn't new, that they'd always minimized my feelings to keep the peace with Claire, that this wedding was supposed to be about our future, not their past dysfunction. He was right. So I made a decision. I called my parents and told them, clearly and calmly, that they were no longer invited to the wedding. There was silence on the line for a few seconds, and then my mom lost it. She started crying, saying I was punishing her for loving both her daughters and that I was choosing a man over family. I told her I was choosing peace over dysfunction, that I was done being gaslit, guilt-tripped, and walked over. My dad barely said anything, just mumbled something about thinking it over. The next day, I got texts from cousins, an aunt, even a former family friend I hadn't spoken to in years. Apparently, my mom has been on a smear campaign, telling people I've gone no contact for no reason, and that I'm breaking her heart. She left out the part where she tried to emotionally blackmail me into inviting the person who verbally abused me and hasn't apologized in 6 years. It's been about 10 days since I uninvited them. The silence has been deafening. I feel a mix of guilt and relief. Guilt because, well, they're my parents. I know there are people out there who would give anything to have living parents. But relief because for the first time in a long time, I stood up for myself. Liam's family has completely embraced me. His mom cried when I told her what happened and said, "You're our daughter now." I broke down in her arms. The wedding is still on. We're moving forward. But a part of me wonders if I did the right thing. If maybe I overreacted. If maybe, like my mom always says, I'm too sensitive. But another part of me, a quieter, stronger part, says, no, you finally drew a boundary, and they didn't like it. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for uninviting my parents for my wedding after they tried to force me to include my estranged sister? Update. It took exactly 48 hours after I uninvited my parents for the flying monkeys to arrive. If you're not familiar with the term, flying monkeys are those people narcissists use to do their dirty work, to guilt, shame, and emotionally manipulate you on their behalf. In my case, the monkeys came with names and Facebook accounts. I woke up to 37 unread messages in the family group. At first, I thought someone had died. The last time the chat was at active was during my uncle's kidney transplant. Nope, no medical emergencies. Just character assassinations. The messages went something like this. Aunt Jenna, my mom's sister, I can't believe you would do this to your mother. She's crying herself to sleep. You're better than this, Opie. Cousin Brianna, Claire's bestie. Claire was literally so excited for your wedding. You're punishing her for something she said 6 years ago. Uncle Ray, Dad's brother, you're breaking your father's heart. Think carefully about the kind of daughter you want to be remembered as. And my favorite one, random second cousin I haven't spoken to in 5 years. Family is forever. This man you're marrying, he could leave you, but your family won't. That one made me laugh out loud. The irony was so thick, I could spread it on toast. I'd expected the group chat drama, but I wasn't prepared for my mom to go public. I started getting messages from old high school friends, people I hadn't spoken to since I was 18, saying things like, "Hey, I don't know what's going on, but I saw your mom's post and damn, hope you're okay." So I checked Facebook. There it was, a long post from my mom, set to public, that started like this. "It breaks my heart to say this, but our daughter has chosen to exclude her only sister from the most important day of her life. All we ever wanted was a close, loving family. Praying for healing and forgiveness. Broken heart." The comments were full of sympathy. Sending prayers. "Some kids are so ungrateful these days. God will bring your family back together." No one knew the full story. No one asked. No one cared that Claire called me undateable in front of our parents. No one knew about the gaslighting, the years of being told to suck it up for the sake of peace. To everyone else, my mom was just a loving mother heartbroken over a daughter who turned cold. This part still confuses me. About a week after the Facebook post, I got a letter in the mail, handwritten, no return address. It was from Claire. I wasn't sure whether to open it at first. I stared at it on the counter for 2 full days. Liam offered to read it first, but I said no, I had to do it myself. Here's what it said, paraphrase for brevity, but I'll quote parts directly. "Opie, I know we haven't spoken in a long time. I've thought about writing to you before, but didn't know how to start. Okay, points for being real. I know I hurt you. I was immature, jealous, and insecure. I lashed out at you, and I hate that the last time we spoke, I said something so cruel." That part stunned me. I don't expect forgiveness, and I'm not asking for an invite. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Truly. It ended with, "No matter what, I hope your wedding is everything you dreamed of. I mean that." I sat on the couch, holding the letter in my hands like it was a live grenade. For the first time in years, Claire had said something that felt authentic. No performance. No manipulation. Just a raw apology. And it wrecked me more than all the group chat attacks combined. The next day, my dad called. He rarely calls. My mom is usually the messenger, but I answered. His voice was soft, tired. "Hey, kiddo." Just hearing him call me, that made my throat close up. He said he wasn't trying to take sides, that he just wanted to understand what had happened. I told him I appreciated that, but it was frustrating that it took me uninviting them from my wedding to finally be asked how I felt. He didn't argue. I told him everything. How it felt growing up in Claire's shadow, how every hurt was minimized, how every accomplishment of mine was somehow less important if it made Claire feel less than. I told him at the dinner 6 years ago was the final straw, and how their reaction afterward cemented the wedge. He didn't interrupt once. When I finished, there was a long pause. Then he said something that broke me. "I think we failed you. Not because we didn't love you, but because we thought keeping the peace meant ignoring the pain." He admitted that my mom always made excuses for Claire, and that he went along with it to avoid confrontation. He said he never realized how much resentment I must have carried all these years. He apologized. A real, deep human apology. Not perfect, but honest. He didn't ask for an invite back. He didn't try to justify anything. He just said he hoped one day, after the wedding, we could talk more. Not as father and child under my mom's roof, but as 2 adults trying to repair something that never got to fully form. I cried after we hung up. I think he did too. After all this, the letter from Claire, the conversation with my dad, I started second-guessing everything. Was I too harsh? Should I have let her come if she was willing to apologize? Was I projecting 6 years of resentment onto one day that wasn't even about her? Liam saw the spiral happening. He sat me down and said, "You've made decisions based on what's healthiest for you. That doesn't mean you can't forgive later or rebuild. But protecting your peace on your wedding day, that's not selfish. That's necessary." He was right. Again, the wedding isn't the end of the story. It's the start of ours. And I wasn't going to let guilt drag old chains into that new chapter. A few days ago, I got another message. This time from my cousin, Natalie. She's always been sort of neutral, not super close, but not part of the flying monkey crew either. Her message was short. "Can we talk?" Something happened. We spoke on the phone that night. Apparently, Claire told people that I refused to even read her letter. that I'd laughed and tossed it out, which is untrue, obviously. Natalie was upset because Claire showed up at her apartment unannounced, sobbing, saying she was being erased from a family. Claire begged her to be her +1 to the wedding, even though she wasn't invited. She claimed I was just mad over high school drama, and that everyone knew I was the golden child anyway. Yep, there it was. The real Claire. Natalie was disturbed by how quickly Claire flipped, from apologetic victim to manipulative mess. She said, "I just wanted you to know, in case she tries anything." So here's where things stand. The wedding is 2 months away. My parents are still uninvited. Claire is still not attending. My dad and I have started texting a little. It's cautious, but civil. My mom has gone silent since the Facebook stunt. I haven't responded to Claire's letter. Yet. And me? I'm doing better than I thought I would. There's still grief, because when you cut off toxic family dynamics, you're also mourning the idea of what you hoped family would be. The versions that never existed. The hugs you never got. The apologies that came too late. But there's also clarity. I don't regret uninviting them. I don't regret choosing myself. And I definitely don't regret choosing Liam, who has shown me what real support, honesty, and unconditional love actually look like.